I know this is a little different than what you've been used to, but we thought we'd do a little sort of fireside chat. I've always wanted to do that here. And I'm going to be doing this very differently from how I normally do it because things have changed since the last time I saw you 4 months ago, since the last time Maureen and I saw you. Our whole lives have been turned upside down. And it really started off with this poem that was a sort of pretense to what will be coming. We wanted to share it again. It comes from Havis. I heard God laughing.
Good morning. Tripping over joy, renderings of Havis. What is the difference between your experience of existence and that of a saint? The saint knows that the spiritual path is a sublime chess game with God, and that the beloved has just made such a fantastic move that the saint is now continually tripping over joy and bursting out in laughter and saying, "I surrender, I surrender." Whereas, my dear, I'm afraid you still think you have 1,000 serious moves.
This talk is called 1,000 Serious Moves. And it's not that we shouldn't make those 1,000 serious moves. They're the things that are ours to do while we're here. What we're going to do now is just take a few moments to close our eyes. And you just feel the divine presence moving through us. That many of us have lots of challenges and difficulties that we're going through now in life. I can't think of one person in this room who isn't involved with some 1,000 serious moves that have really made your life difficult, things that you thought would turn out a certain way and yet didn't turn out the way you thought it would turn out. Let's just take a moment to know that no matter what we might be moving through now, that it's just one of the many experiences we have that are part of the 1,000 serious moves that we have on planet Earth. So I invite you just to close your eyes for a few moments, to relax your shoulders, to take a few deep breaths, and to know that you are safe. That no matter what doorway you might be passing through, that when one door closes, it merely means another one's about to open. And although sometimes that place in between the end of one situation being over and the beginning of another beginning can seem like it takes eternity, the truth is, it only happens in an instant of time. For you and I are eternal beings, made in God's image and after her likeness. And no matter what we might be going through, we are not alone. The very presence and essence of Spirit is with us. And yea, though we walk through the valley of many changes, thou art with me, the Spirit says. I am with you, the Beloved says. You are mine. I am existence, consciousness, and bliss. Let's say that together. I am existence, consciousness, and bliss. And at any one moment, you and I can choose to consciously tune in, turn on, and tap into that which existed before you were in a body, that which exists after you leave your body, and that which you can be present for right in the midst of your embodiment. In fact, that's what bringing heaven on earth is all about. And so now we walk into the doorway of the next experience we're about to have. And it's a mystery, unfolding and unraveling, with all kinds of twists and turns, and situations that we thought would happen, would turn out a certain way and don't turn out the way we thought they'd happen. And then 1,000 more serious moves that we make. And then they don't turn out the way we thought they would come, but yet some of them do, and then miracles happen. And things show up that we never thought would ever show up for us in that way. And things that we thought would be forever change. And people who we thought would be by our side leave us. It's all part of a divine plan, isn't it? To help us awaken to who we are. Holy, whole children of God. Trusted and beloved by the universe. And we can trust in that presence and power. There are no mistakes in God's plan for awakening. Yes? And so now, may we be aware of that in every cell and atom of our being as we enter into this time of awakening together. Thank you for joining us for this time together, this precious moment of being who it is that we truly are. I'm going to drop down a sheet of paper. I hardly ever have notes, but I have them with me now. I didn't want to forget one precious thing I wanted to share with you. This actually comes from 1,000 serious moves that were actually being made in the invisible realm before they became physical manifestation. This was the May newsletter that Maureen and I got together and wrote before any of this became into fruition. This is when we thought that we would be going on a journey just to get some simple hip resurfacing from my foot, that I'd be up and walking and running and back on the jogging field in no time. And I wrote this in response to that, getting ready for this yet unknown move, moving us into a place that was new material for us. Many of you have already got it, and I'm going to read it to you. And you mostly have read it, but I'll read it again. It says, "Beloved ones," that's you and me, when we are not attached to who we think we are, life can move through us, playing us like an instrument. Understanding how everything is in continual transformation, we release our futile attempts to control circumstances. When we live in the easy connection with life, we live in joy. This comes from James Baraz, a book we studied on lightening up. We can't control what happens to us, but we can choose how we respond to what's happening through us. Our constant practice and mantra is the same one Jesus used, not my will, but thine be done. There is a greater wisdom and power seeking to move through us as we are more willing to let go of our need to control outer situations. When a crisis happens, like the death of a loved one or a change in our physical condition or someone we always could count on suddenly leaves us, or we lose our pension fund, or we have no choice in those moments except to let go. When we think that who we are is what we do or what we have, when that gets taken away from us, well then who are we? We suffer. When the walls that surround our psychological home come tumbling down, we can feel completely vulnerable, deeply afraid. It can feel like we're disappearing in a sea of changes we have no control over. It is in these moments of uncertainty that we are very close to the core truth of our invincible nature as a children and child of the universe. It is in these moments of sudden change that we can feel deeply connected to that which never changes. Sometimes it isn't until everything is taken away from us that we realize how much still remains for us. What we are eternal beings. And what we are as eternal beings is greater than anything we are attached to in time and space. Is any of this easy? Absolutely not. But the rewards of letting go are so much greater than anything we're holding on to. Understanding how everything is in a continual transformation, we release our futile attempts to control circumstances. In these moments of letting go, we feel deeply connected to an inner joy that passes all human understanding. And we love to say after something deep like that, practice well, practice deeply. It's not just for yourself, but for the benefit of all beings everywhere. I am existence, consciousness, and bliss. We are forever at one with all that God is. And all that God is, I already am. I don't know how many here remember the first talk I ever gave at this church. Do any of you remember that? Some of you do. Maura has heard this. Maureen has heard this. I think Jim has heard this talk. I traveled with it, and it was my tryout talk coming to this church. And I used the analogy of this doorway. I've used it so many different times. Let me set the story for the doorway and how it came to be. When I was very young, at about 5 years old, I was awoke in the middle of the night by my mother. And I was living then with my mother and my two sisters, 3 years younger and 3 years older, and I was the middle son. And we were told in the very middle of the night that we needed to get out of the house, that my dad was coming, and he was angry at us, and we needed to leave our house. And so could you imagine 5 years old in the middle of a night, finding yourself being told you had to leave the only house you knew, and we had to literally pack up everything and walk through a doorway out of something we knew, our house. We found ourselves leaving the house that's all we knew for 5 years. We lived in this house, and I was sitting with my sister and my Debbie and Lisa in the middle in the back seat, and my mother had Chi-Chi, the obnoxious chihuahua, in the car, and we were going to some unknown place to go through a new doorway that we had no idea we were going. We were going to Aunt Thelma's house, and then from there we moved to what would become our new home in a place called 11 Woolies Lane in Brooklyn, in Great Neck, Long Island. Same place, a bunch of Jews. Great Neck, Long Island, living in Great Neck, Long Island, the Jewish widowed divorce section. I am Jewish, I can say that. It's a place where a lot of people who got divorced. You want to cut that out or not? I think it's okay. And so we decided we needed a new place to live. And so we went to this beautiful apartment, brand new apartment that we'd never lived in before. And so when we moved into the apartment, and I'm going to let my grandson and my granddaughter play me, can you come right through the doorway, okay? And we turned around and we looked at what would be our new apartment. This was the front door to the apartment. Now turn around and take a look now. And this was our new house. And this is the elevator to our new house. Everything's brand new. You ever go to a new place and the plastic is still on the floor? All plastic, all brand new place. And so we turned around and my mom said, we live on apartment 2B. So go ahead and press apartment 2B. Go ahead and push that button. No, boom, you push that apartment 2B. And then we got in the elevator and we got inside and with our mom and all the boxes and Chi-Chi the Chihuahua, we got to our new apartment, the floor 2B. We went inside our new apartment, go inside the apartment, and that's where we were to have our time in our new place. Our mom, knowing that we were very active and had too much energy, way too much energy, said, you guys got to go out and play. Now, back in the days when I grew up, back in 1955, kids could be told you could go out in any neighborhood you wanted anywhere, Brooklyn, Great Neck, Long Island, and you would be safe. And so we were told by my mother, go outside and play, make some friends. I'll call you when dinner's ready. So we went outside and we played. Go outside and play. Go out there, have a good time. I'll let you know when it's time for you to come back. And go ahead and just go outside and play and be off by yourself. And that's what we did. We played and had a good time. But then my mother yelled out the window, and I'm doing my mother because my mother's Jewish, my family's Jewish. She said, Richard, it's time to come back now. It's time to come home. And so now they're representing me. And I came back home to the same apartment building. Go back to the doorway. Here we go. They're coming in now to the elevator, okay? And they get in the same elevator. We're not doing this perfect. We're working on it as we go along. Now, stop there. And they push the elevator, push the floor, boom. And they walked into the second floor. And they walked down to the end of the apartment. And the apartment was right down over there. And they opened up the door. And guess what? Everything was gone. The boxes that we'd packed, the dining room table, the kitchen table, Chi-Chi, the obnoxious chihuahua, my oldest sister, my other sister, everything. My mom and dad are gone. How do you think we felt? We felt terrible. And I went walking around the house looking for something that I could understand. We were just crying. And then I found myself on the floor. This is representing me. Now get down on the floor. And can you imagine now? Now I am 5 years old, and I am so sad, and I am so sorry, and I'm feeling so alone and so separate. And I begin to sort of pound on the floor. Where's my mommy? Where's my life? Well, Even where is my daddy? He just left me 3 days ago. Everything was so sad. I felt so alone. But then all of a sudden, I heard some sort of music coming up from below. It was the Motown sound pounding up from the floor. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Goodbye, honey bunch. You know that I love you. Boom, 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 boom. I can't help myself. I love you and nobody else. Do, 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 do. Oh, when it called my name. You see, girl, it starts a flame burning in God's heart. What I done is, my friends, I'd gotten off at the wrong floor. Lisa, my sister, was playing the Motown sound. She started pounding on the floor and said, who's up there pounding? I said, it's me, I'm all alone. They said, no, you're not. They said, get upstairs. We're coming to get you. Come downstairs. You got off at the wrong floor. And they came into me, and my mom was there, and my sisters were there, and they grabbed me and they hugged me and be careful of my foot. And they said, you're not alone. You guys, you got off at the wrong floor. You didn't live in apartment 3B, you lived in apartment 2B. It was an early case of to be or not to be. Now go and play and have a good time. You are not alone. You have never been alone. And my friends, this is our story. We are never alone. Sugar pie, honey bunch, you know that I love you. I can't help myself. I love and want you and nobody else. The beingness of returning is returning home to a place we've never left and stepped in our minds. I dream myself separate from my mother, father, God. I dream myself separate from my source. We dream ourselves separate from the people that we love. We dream ourselves separate from the God that is and all that we are. We are living in a dream world, awakening to who we are. And so every time we tune in, turn on, and tap into that loving presence of the divine, every time we don't get fooled by one more 1,000 serious moves, which we're supposed to make, by the way. You got to do what's yours to do while you're here. You keep opening yourself up and say, I come from joy. I live in joy. One day in that joy, I'll return once more. And we don't have to wait till we die to do that. That's the resurrection. That's the truth. That's the glorious message of unity. You are not alone. Each one of you is facing an end of something, but also a beginning of something greater. And my friends, if you're still here, it ain't over yet. It ain't over yet. And even when you think it's over, it's only just the beginning. If I could only know now what I'll know at the end, I could begin to live a new life right here, today. Because right where I am, God is. Here's the most important message I want to leave to you. The most important one given to us by J. Sig Paulson. He wrote this for his own memorial service. They know me not who think that I am only flesh and blood, a transient dweller on this spaceship earth that gave me human birth. For I am spirit, eternal, indestructible, not confined to space and time. And when my sojourn here is through, my roles fulfill, my assignment's done, I will lay aside this crazy spacesuit called my body, and I will move to other mansions and roles and assignments in my Father's omnipresent house of Spiritus. So dry your tears. Weep not over for me, or for yourself set me free. In love that holds us all one and makes us all one in eternity. Our lives will cross again, our minds and hearts will touch, and our souls will shout with glad laughter and joy as we recall the ways we've lived, the worlds we've trod, to find ourselves at home at last in God. Now, my friends, go and do your 1,000 serious moves, but don't take it all quite so seriously. Surrender to the presence that's got you covered in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. Practice well, my friends. Practice deeply. It's not just for yourself, but for the benefit of all beings. everywhere. Namaste.